Chapter 3. Logan. The name Doom-Laden echoed through the underground forums like a whispered legend. Top hacker in Australia, they said. Ethical, but not one to cross. She was a ghost in the wires, a shadow that danced through firewalls and left no trace. People talked about her the way they talk about a storm on the horizon. Equal parts respect and fear. I was hunched over my computer, the hum of the tower blending with the distant croak of the Meningie night. There's comfort in the predictable rhythm of keystrokes, the glow of the screen against my face. It hid the acne scars, the weight I carried, both physical and mental. This room, these screens, my sanctuary since leaving the RAAF. No commands, no control, just me and the code. Then it happened. A ping on my system, subtle as the brush of a moth's wing. Intrusion? No, an anomaly. A breadcrumb trail that led back to one source. Her, Doom-Laden. My heart stuttered. Not fear, but the thrill of being noticed by someone who existed in whispers. How had she found me? A shared digital alleyway where I'd strayed too close to her turf. Or maybe a tip-off from some chatroom snitch. Didn't matter. Our paths crossed, and now the game changed. Logan, a message popped up. No preamble. We should talk. That's how it starts. A conversation you never saw coming. Like when your wife or your partner texts you, "We need to talk." It never ends well. The mystery wrapped around the new message like barbed wire. Who reaches out first, the hunter or the hunted? And what does it mean when it's someone like Doom-Laden? "About?" I typed back, playing it cool. My fingers flew across the keyboard, a skill honed in the military's sterile confines, crafting messages for eyes only, shades above mine in rank. Never liked their secrets much. But this was a different kind of secret. Dangerous and enticing. "Your work," she replied, a digital nod to the cybercrimes I committed in the shadows. "Impressive." A compliment from Doom-Laden wasn't something to ignore. It was recognition, an invisible nod in a crowded room that says, "I see you." You can't help but wonder why. Is it a setup, curiosity, or something else entirely? "Thanks." My response hung in the air, suspended in the ether between us. What did she want? Advice? A partner? A pawn? "Let's meet." The words cut sharp and clear through the fog of unknowns. "Where?" I asked. Suspicion gnawed at my gut, the taste bitter. Meeting face to face was risky, breaking the cardinal rule of anonymity we all clung to like a lifeline. "Somewhere public, somewhere safe, for both of us." Public didn't feel right. Public meant exposure, vulnerability. But safe was a word you don't hear often in our line of work. It piqued my interest. "Okay," I agreed. If Doom-Laden wanted to play chess, I'd be a willing player. For now. I leaned back in my chair, the creak of the faux leather a stark reminder of reality. Outside this room, I was Logan Robinson, big, acne-scarred, and lost. Inside, I was a contender. Doom-Laden had just moved her bishop. My move. I sized her up across the table. The cafe buzzed with life, a stark contrast to our hushed tones. Doom-Laden sipped her coffee, black, no sugar, eyes steady on mine. "Logan," she began, voice low, "your skills are raw but potent. I can teach you everything I know." My fingers drummed on the tabletop. A free course in elite hacking from Australia's top ethical hacker? Tempting, but why me? Appreciate it, I said, cautious. But why? Potential, she replied simply. You've got it. Potential. A word so loaded it could sink ships. Potential to rise or to fall. I felt her gaze, heavy with expectation. Her offer dangled before me, shiny and dangerous. My mind raced. Teaching me meant trust. It also meant risk. Her trust, my risk. Potential's one thing, I countered. Trust's another. Why should I trust you? Because I believe in your abilities, she stated, and because we share common enemies. Enemies. The word echoed in my head. The command and control demons of my past military life. The faceless corporations that fed on the little guys. Yeah, we had common enemies, all right. Still, I hedged, working together is a risky business. Risk is part of the game, she said with a smirk. Besides, think of what you could learn. Learn. Grow. Maybe even hit back at the systems that had pushed me around. Still, joining her felt like stepping off a cliff blindfolded. Give me time, I muttered, my gut coiling tight. I need to think. Of course, she nodded, pushing back her chair. But don't take too long. Opportunities like this don't come often. She left me there, tangled in thought. A lifeline or a noose? Hard to tell. But out here in rural Meningie, where mateship counted for everything, taking leaps was how you survived. Or it was how you drowned. Bugger, I whispered to the empty chair. Trust and potential. Heavy words for a heavy decision. I tapped at the keyboard, thoughts racing. She wanted to teach me. Why? The screen flickered, a message popping up. It was her, doom-laden. My pulse quickened. Meet? The message read. Simple, direct. Where? I replied. Your place, an hour. An hour later, she stood in my living room, a shadow against the faint glow of the computer screens. Her eyes were sharp, focused. Let's get one thing straight, doom-laden began, her voice low, almost a growl. I don't hit random targets. They need to deserve it. Deserve? I questioned, arms folded. Greedy corporations, evil individuals. She paced, a predator sizing up her prey. They exploit. We expose. Robin Hood with a keyboard, I muttered sceptically. Something like that, she said, stopping to face me. It's justice in ones and zeros. Justice? I echoed, unsure. Look around, Logan. Injustice everywhere. We had the skills to balance the scales. Her words hung in the air. Balance the scales. A chance to punch back at the system that had chewed me up and spat me out after my military stint. All right, I found myself saying. I'm in. Good, doom-laden nodded, a flash of satisfaction in her eyes. But you'll need backup. Backup? I hesitated. There was only one person I trusted that much. Dan. Dan's not technical, I warned. Doesn't matter, she dismissed with a wave. He's loyal. You'll need that more. Loyal. That was Dan, all right. We'd been through hell and back together. He understood loss, pain. Corporate greed had cost him too. Lily's death. The depression that followed for Sarah. Their marriage teetering on the edge. He needed this just as much as I did. Okay, I said, reaching for my phone. Dan picked up on the first ring. Logan, what's up? Opportunity, I said, cutting to the chase. To hit back. Interested? Always, he replied without hesitation. Classic Dan. Meet me tomorrow. I'll fill you in. Will do, he agreed, and then he was gone. I looked back at Doom-laden. This was it. A new chapter. No more playing it safe. With Dan by my side and Doom-laden leading the way, we were going to make a difference. Or die trying. Tomorrow we start. Doom-laden declared, conviction burning in her eyes. Tomorrow, I echoed. Revenge against corporate greed. Justice via the keyboard. Whatever it took. The room was dim, screens glowing like a hacker's paradise. Doom-laden's lair, they called it. Dan stood beside me, his frame casting a long shadow in the flickering light. He exuded readiness, like always. First rule, Doom-laden began, her voice cutting through the hum of computers. Stay invisible. Her fingers danced across the keyboard, a symphony of clicks. I'll teach you how to move through networks like ghosts. I watched, absorbing every keystroke. This was the big leagues, not just some backyard tech gig. Dan leaned in, eyes narrowed, focused. No tech skills, sure, but he had the heart of a lion. Encryption is your best friend and worst enemy, she continued, pulling up lines of code that might as well have been hieroglyphs to the untrained eye. Learn to break it, she said. Learn to build it. Got it, I muttered, my mind racing, trying to keep up. Dan nodded alongside me. We were in this together, bound by more than friendship, a common thirst for justice. Your turn, Doom-laden said after hours of demonstration. The keyboard felt alien under my fingers. Pressure was on. Dan watched, silent encouragement in his gaze. Go slower, Doom-laden instructed. Understand each command, its power, its purpose. Right. I adjusted my approach, thought like a hacker, not a soldier. Precision over force. Days blurred into nights. We drilled through scenarios, simulated cyber attacks. Dan struggled but pushed on, refusing to be the weak link. His determination was infectious. I admired that about him, always had. We hacked into dummy networks Doom-laden set up, each one more complex, each victory sweeter. She was relentless, a mentor sculpting us into digital warriors. Again, she'd say, and we did, over and over. Dan's progress was slow but steady. He started to understand the language of cyberspace. Pride swelled within me. We were doing this, really doing this. Keep at it, Doom-laden urged. You're getting there. Her approval meant something. It fueled our resolve. Logan, Dan said during a break, wiping sweat from his brow. We're actually doing good here, aren't we? More than good, I replied, clapping him on the shoulder. We're making a difference. Damn right, Dan grinned, and we dove back in. Our mission was clear, our bond unbreakable. With Doom-laden's guidance, we were becoming the very thing corporate greed feared most. Not just hackers, vigilantes hidden behind lines of code, ready to strike. The screen flickered, a beacon in the dim room. Dan and I, side by side, fingers dancing across keyboards. Adelaide's skyline loomed outside our window, unaware of the justice being served beneath its stars. Got it, Dan hissed, a marathon runner breaking tape. Check the back door. My voice steady. Commands entered with sniper precision. The small business we targeted, corrupt to its core, was about to have its dirty laundry aired. Back door's clear, he confirmed. Our training had paid off. Doom-laden's lessons etched into our minds. Exfiltrate the data. Clicks punctuated my whisper. We drew out secrets like venom from a wound. Done. Triumph laced Dan's tone. We shared a glance, the gravity of success tightening our bond. Let's report back. Doom-laden waited, her lair a fortress of screens and codes. Her nod was all the accolade we needed. Did good, she said. Really good. Feels right, Dan admitted, shoulders relaxed, the ghost of Lily's memory sharing our victory. Next target? I asked, the thirst for justice parching my throat. Big fish, she replied, eyes alight with the fire of our cause. Ready when you are, I said, Dan nodding in agreement. Good, Doomladen smiled, because this is just the beginning. All right, let's map out our next hit, I say, eyes narrowed at the list flickering on the screen. Dan leans in, his shadow merging with mine. We're two parts of a single machine now, gears oiled by shared secrets and purpose. Big corporations? He suggests, a hint of steel in his voice. Too risky. Not yet. My fingers drum on the desk. We need another stepping stone. Local again? Maybe. Something that matters. I pause, Dan's presence a steady pulse beside me. What about that real estate shark in Victor Harbour, the one evicting families for quick cash flips? Perfect. Dan's grin is a sliver of moonlight in the dark room. Hit 'em where it hurts. Strategy, I mutter, pulling up blueprints of their network. They'll have better security, firewalls, encryption. Then we break them, Dan says simply. Divide and conquer. I point to the screen. You create a distraction, I slip in through the cracks. Got it. The bond between us tightens, a rope coiled around the shared weight of our mission. It's more than hacking. It's standing up when everyone else sits down. Let's do this. Hours later, our plan is a bullet ready to be fired. The night wraps around us like a cloak as we hunch over our keyboards, the world reduced to the hum of the computer and the rapid-fire tap of keys. Distraction in 3, 2, 1. Dan's whisper barely breaks the silence. Go. The digital chaos erupts across the network, alarms sounding in a void. I watch firewalls crumble under Dan's relentless assault. My cursor blinks, a predator's eye. Moving in, my keystrokes are hammers breaking chains. Careful, Dan warns. Always am. Code unravels before me, a path opening. I dive into the company's darkest secrets, extracting files, emails, evidence. Greed laid bare. Got it! The words ripped from my throat, rough with victory. Wrap it up. Dan's voice is cool water on a hot iron. Done. I sever connections, erasing our tracks like footprints in the tide. Back to Doomladen? Back to Doomladen. Satisfaction warms my chest as we pull away from the screens. The small business was just the beginning. Now we've brought a shark to the surface. Together. Good job. Dan claps my back, a comrade in arms. Real good. Couldn't have done it without you, man. Same here. His nod cements our pact, an unspoken vow to keep fighting. Next time? Even bigger, I say, the promise lighting a fire in my belly. Looking forward to it, Dan replies, the ghost of his grief fueling his resolve. Me too, and I mean it, because with each strike, we're not just avenging Lily or battling my demons. We're fixing a slice of the world, one hack at a time. Let's go tell her. Let's. The road was empty, just like the sky. Stars blinked down at us as we drove back to Doomladen's hideout. The engine hummed a low note, rhythmic and soothing. Dan's profile was sharp against the passing lights, his jaw set in that way it gets when he's thinking hard. Can't shake it, Logan, Dan finally said, breaking the silence. We're actually making a dent. Feels good, I replied, like we're scrubbing off some of the grime. Crime, Dan snorted. That's one word for it. I glanced at him. His hands were steady on the wheel, but I knew the tremors that gripped him when no one else was looking. We'd started as two blokes lost in our sorrows. Now, we were something else, something more. Sarah would be proud, you know, I ventured. Maybe. He didn't look at me, but his voice softened. Lily would have loved the adventure. Damn right. My chest tightened around her name. Think Doomladen will have another target lined up? Always does. I leaned back, letting the night air fill my lungs. She's got a knack for sniffing out the rats. Dan laughed. A rare sound these days. Rats, sharks, what's next? A whole bloody zoo? Wouldn't put it past her. Silence settled again, comfortable this time. We were two halves of a broken whole, mending stitch by laborious stitch. "Remember the first hack?" I asked after a while. "Hard to forget. Nearly pissed myself." "Me too." "Come a long way since then." "Sure have." Pride swelled in my throat. "And we're not done yet." "Never are." Dan's grip tightened. "Not until we've evened the score. Or until they catch us." "Let 'em try." We shared a grin, the reckless kind that knows the taste of risk and craves it still. Back to Doom-laden. It wasn't a question. Back to Doom-laden. The hideout loomed ahead, a beacon in the dark. We parked in silence, our steps synchronized as we headed inside. The door creaked open, and there she was, Doom-laden, queen of codes, her eyes alight with the fires of war. "Boys," she greeted, a smirk playing on her lips. "Ready for the big leagues?" "Hit us," I said. "Corporate giant, names, numbers, dirty deals. It's all there." "Juicy." Dan cracked his knuckles. "Risky," I added. The weight of the challenge settled in my gut. "Life's risky," Doom-laden shot back. "Question is, do you want to play it safe, or do you want to change the game?" "Change the game," we answered in unison. "Good." Her eyes glinted. "Because this one, it's personal." A shiver ran down my spine. Anticipation mingled with the edge of fear. Personal how? For her? For us? "Who is it?" Dan's question cut through the tension. "Let's just say—" Doom-laden paused, flicking on a screen. Numbers and names danced across it, weaving a story of deceit and power. "They're the reason I started all this." "Bugger," Dan whistled low. I stared at the screen, reading between the lines. This was no small business. This was a titan. "Get some rest," Doom-laden commanded. "You'll need it." "Understood." My voice was steel. "Tomorrow," she continued, "we begin." "Tomorrow," I echoed. "Tomorrow," Dan affirmed. The room felt colder as we left, the shadows deeper. Sleep wouldn't come easy tonight, but that was fine by me. Rest was for those who had nothing to fight for. "Logan." "Yeah?" "Whatever happens, we've got each other's backs, always. Always." Sleep could wait. Tomorrow beckoned, and with it a storm. We were ready, ready to dance with thunder, strike lightning at corruption's heart. "Big leagues," I whispered to myself. "Damn big leagues."